G'day, this is Captainoob. Welcome to Starfield. This is Lily, also known as Queen Lily to some. Yeah, I had to take this outfit, it looks really cool. Owned by some sort of queen. But anyways, what we're looking at here is my mighty vessel, the ship. Originally, it was a warhorse, that's why we're here on Neon at the moment. But I've renamed this thing to be, well, I've kept the horse theme, but obviously it's painted black, so I gave it a different name. Giving a quick look at the ship in this menu, it's called Famine, the black horse, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. He rides a black horse called Famine, so I feel like that works for this thing. But I'll show you what this thing is a modified version of, just to give you a little bit of a contrast to what this thing was before I started tinkering with it. And then we'll go by the ship parts, maybe have a tour of the ship so you can see what it's like on the inside. Although, if you've played Starfield, it's going to be particularly samey. So we'll just turn our flashlight and stop blinding this man. And if we go into the ship sales menu, we'll find ourselves one warhorse somewhere. There it is. So this thing I painted black and turned into Famine, but it's like the Frontier's big brother, this thing. In its normal form, as you can tell in comparison to Famine, this thing has much less in the way of lasers, particle, but it does have a missile launcher, and we'll get to using those perhaps another day. But I've left a weapon system on Famine vacant just for testing purposes. We might have a look at that some other day. We've got less power in the engines, less power in the shields, and the grav drive would be, I think it's the same power, but I've got a higher rated one because I need to get more extra distance, and I've inputted a few perks to help me out with that thing as well. But enough looking at Warhorse, let's go over to my own ship. So going from the front, you'll notice these gigantic particle beam cannons that are just covering this thing. We'll see them in action a little bit later, but just like the Frontier, you've got this whole loading dock on the bottom, and then you can board it by this. I've got a couple of crew members as well. I only picked up this particular one. Her stats aren't even that good, but she shares the same voice actor as Lily's default voice actor for my follower mod in Fallout 4, so kind of there in spirit. I've also picked up this bounty hunter, and I'm not sure what she does, but she had a little bit of a quest. She gives me lip all the time. But towards the back of the ship, we've got our research department here. At this stage in the game, I've pretty much done all of my research, so I could probably lose all of this, except for maybe the workbenches, just in case I want to tinker with weapons and such. Everything's here what you need to. There's also some containers and stuff as well, which is not particularly useful to me. A couple of these things, they do nothing, so that's free cash if you want to go and sell those, but that's just extra clutter that'll get shifted around should you decide to change this. And of course, we've got crew quarters. Moving on to the cockpit here. Here's where you sit. A little bit like the Frontier, but, you know, that's what it looks like on the inside. Unfortunately, you can't paint the inside to have a darker interior, make it look like a VF Commodore interior, but it's fine how it is. I quite like the aesthetic of the NASA Punk art direction anyway. There's also a stuffed plushy Galacticat on that bed. I don't think that's mine. It was one of theirs, probably the bounty hunter over there. But anyways, as we sit here with our eyes half closed, that's just a bug made by Bethesda. Let's take a little bit more of a look at this thing's specific systems. So taking a look at the Long Girl now, this thing on its basic card has a C-class reactor rated at 40 capacity, allows me to power both of these particle cannons all the way up to the maximum, as well as the engines and shields at the same time as well. And should I need to use the grav drive, I can drain all the power from the weapons, put it into the grav drive, and for an emergency jump I can get in less than a second. It takes longer to switch the power out from the particle cannons into the grav drive for it to actually warp when I've got the thing powered up, which is pretty nice. But we've got a crew rating of 2 here. If I wanted to increase that, I'd just add more living habitations. I could probably remove the research station to do that. So there's room for improvement for crew capacity here and the perks that you can get from that. Rated at a 30 light year jump distance, which is pretty good. It's not going to get you from one galaxy, one side of the galaxy to the other. Multiple jumps will do that. That's not a huge problem for me. I've got an SSD. Loading screens are quick enough. Our shield is rated at 1144. Stock, the shield that I've got tucked around the back here doesn't really do much for me, but I've increased my, I've invested into the shields with some perks, and 1100 is not too bad at all. And our particle guns are doing 197 and 213 respectively, and I've got 4 of each. The 2 on the head here, and there's actually 2 hidden underneath the landing compartment here. And of course, on the top, we've got even more particle cannons, which they can do a whole lot of damage. We'll get to actually shooting these things a little bit later on, but there's an extra couple of surprises in here as well. And I'll address this now. The landing gear, I know that a horse has 4 legs, but I went for an ATT vibe, having a 6-legged beast right here. So isn't that nice? We've also got 3 engines at the back, 2 of them sort of diagonal and 1 of them horizontal. And I wanted to have a lot of engines on this thing just so I could get a lot of pace out of this thing, because if you're out of range of enemy ships, they can't shoot at you. So if you've got a much higher pace than them and your shield is down, you can easily just go and warp. You just hit the accelerator, flatten it on the floor, and then you can warp away, regenerate your shield, and redress for another attack. So there goes the basic systems, and I think that pretty much covers all of it. Although I do want to mention that this particular version of the guns here, which I can't buy from the Neon vendor, this has 3800 range on this thing, so I'll be able to snipe targets a little bit easier at range before they can even attack me, which is pretty nice. And there's a couple of other things that I want to get into as well, and you can't see them by hovering over them, but the conduction grid here reduces AM damage by 50% and increases shield regeneration by 25%. This is awarded through the quest where you got to work with the Crimson Fleet. I destroyed them, so I get to keep all of their cool technology without any of the consequences. And I've also got a comm spike here, which will increase my lock-on time. Sorry, decrease my lock-on time and make my weapons slightly better to use in VATS as well. So I've pulled all the bells and whistles into this thing. Reactor here is hidden out the back, giving me a hull rating of 1315, which is not too bad. Our health is probably not the highest you've ever seen, but if our guns work enough, we won't have to worry about that too much. Although I will stress that very high difficulty is pretty brutal at this game, even at a level 55 or more towards 60 now. Some of these fights are going to be pretty scary, but we'll see how we go. So that's the basic explanation of this thing. Let's take to the frontier, the Starfield, if you will, and see if we can find some trouble. Okay, before we start blasting some enemy spaceships, I should probably talk about some of the perks that I've acquired to make the ship better. And I want to stress before I talk about these perks that this is not a finished product yet. We're not done. We're never finished. Nothing's perfect, but what I've got now, I think, is a pretty effective piloting solution. Speaking of piloting, this is the perk that you'll need all the way up to pilot this ship, because it's a C-class ship using a C-class reactor, so we have to have that. We've got engine systems at rank 2. We've got a faster movement speed, and the cooldown on the ship boosts is shortened, with the ship boost lasting longer, so that allows us to keep that pace up for a little bit longer than our enemy ships, which is great. Next rank would be really nice, and also rank 4, so maybe that's the next step for that thing. We've got the shields at the moment at rank 3 to a 60% increased capacity. Rank 4 will be occasionally resisting all damage, which I don't know how occasionally means. I don't know exactly the likelihood of that happening, but extra tanking ability would be nice. We're using particle beam weapon systems on this thing, so I've got that at rank 3. We're only missing out on a critical hit chance with this thing, which I don't see a lot of those anyway. Perhaps I might if I actually equip that perk and unlock it, but for now we've just got rank 3, 30% more damage and less targeting mode cost, sorry. Starship design all the way up at the top allows me to put on that giant 40 reactor. So if we don't have this, then we don't have the ability to power all of the systems. We've also got a bit of Starship engineering, faster repairs, and also increased damage mitigation on ship systems. So if we lose our shields, our engines are less likely to be knocked out because they'll just take slightly less damage, and I think that pretty much covers it. I've also got astrophysics as well. This is not a combat-based one, but allowing me to jump a little bit further means I don't have to spend as much space power or resources on increasing the power of my grav drive. So that pretty much covers it. And now we can fly around. We're orbiting Zeta Chewy, and there's some debris around. There's always debris for some reason. And if you want to just explore the Starfield and you want easy cash, just scan the gas planets. And you just got to fly there and scan it, and you get that data. You can tell it to the Russian dude, and he'll just give you easy cash. But we've got full throttle happening now. The top speed 163 by the looks, 164 now, which is nice. If we put the jets on, still going 500, 600, maxes out at about 658-ish before we lose our boosting speed. But that's a pretty good amount of pace for such a heavy and long ship. And we've got our particle cannons ready to go as well. So that's mouse 1 there. I guess that's primary weapon. And secondary weapon, you can time these so it pretty much fires constantly as well, which is nice. The recoil looks like it's pushing the ship back, but that's just the camera doing a thing. So if we want to charge in and use the guns like that, it's a pretty good tactic. And the turn radius on this thing, it's alright. It's a very long ship. I could probably shorten it and might increase the mobility in the turning radius here. But I found that with enough pace, I'll be able to not have to worry about the turning radius on this thing, which is nice. But there you go. There's the old test drive. From the inside, that's not what it looks like from the inside. Hang on. There we go. It looks like this. Pretty basic, but I do very much prefer the third-person camera here. What a beast. I like the painted black and the lighting from the subtle space things. A giant gas planet in the background. How cool. I think we might have our first catch of the day. Oh yeah, Starborn Guardians. Level 72. Let's have at 'em. So we'll just fire from long range. We're hitting into that 38, now 3200, and we can just light them up. And before they can even start taking shots at me, I have destroyed them. Now we're getting in close range. We can get a nice weapon lock and just hit anything. Who cares? And they'll try to cloak themselves, but we'll knock them right out. Shield's still holding for the moment. We've got the lock on. And we'll blow these Starborn Guardians right up. 3 times level 72 ships, and we didn't even lose our shield. It's still at 0, but not offline. So there we go. I don't think we even took a single point of damage. But honestly, despite them being like late game like foes that you'll just find, they're actually one of the easiest, most weakest starships to kill. And they give you so much XP too. So honestly, every time I see them, just licking my lips, I'm thinking payday. And we got like 700 XP per dude. Easy. Ah, here's a cool random encounter. I'm here to help.
Sorry about that. We're just recovering from a cascade system failure. But we're getting the systems back online. We don't need any help. You can go.
My, you don't sound very convincing there, Captain.
I don't know what you mean. Got the shields up. Good, keep at it. So, everything's fine here. Please just leave.
You're not fooling anyone.
I don't know what you mean. Weapon systems status? Working on it. Yeah, sorry. You know how it is. When a ship system is down, just makes my skin crawl.
And enough of this. You're going down.
On to us. Prepare to fight.
Uh-oh, they're space raiders. And there they go. Their shields are up, and I guess we could like dock it and take it, but instead we're going to ram them, make it personal, and then blow them away. The crew was already dead anyway, so that's fine. And we get to pick up the loot this time. You don't get loot from the other dudes. So, ship parts. That's a lot of repairs we can do with that. Excellent. Good loot all around. I see something warping on the other edge of the system. Oh, it's more Starborn Guardians. Oh, open fire. This time we'll get a little bit closer, maybe. maybe we'll just edge out on the range here, and they can't touch me, so I just park here. Just park it right here. What are they gonna do? Come at me? Extra 742 XP. We can't even get lock-ons. Actually, we're gonna target this one. There we go. That's better. See, they got a cool cloaking device ability, but my ship can still track their position. And if your ship's not locked on, you can still freely aim your weapons. So there's really no problem here. This guy's regenerating his shields. We'll see about that, mate. All of their starborn technology, they still get beaten by an old warhorse. Easy XP. And I leveled up too, so I guess I'm going to sink that perk directly into something. Yep, more pace, please. Alright, we can test how fast we can go on the fly. We've got a full tank ready to go. Put the jets on, see how far we reach. It's 500, 6, touching 7. 715-ish. That's pretty good. That's nice and fast. That's a lot faster than what we got before, and we're hitting over 600 for just that little bit longer now. So yeah, it's good stuff. All right, looks like we've got some Crimson Fleet here, and not too much of a problem. The thing you got to worry about with the Crimson Fleet is whether they overwhelm you. They've got a big boy level 64 Wraith here. I might be convinced to actually pinch that. I'm going to target the engines here, see how we go. Our shields are holding it. No, never mind. Blew them away. Yep, so everything we've encountered so far, pretty easy. But honestly, on the scale of enemies in this game, Crimson Fleet are probably second last on the list of actual threats, only beaten by the Starborn Guardians and their terrible inferior ships. So yeah, unfortunately for these guys, their ships were no good, and we could wipe the floor with them. And it's like done in a second too, as I put a scratch on the ship. That's not good. That'll buff out though. If you ever find yourself orbiting a planet and there's an asteroid field around, you can blow up those asteroids and they'll leave behind mineral deposits. They can have anything like water or iron usually, to even more rare things like platinum. So if you want to upgrade your old world hunting rifle, for example, I think platinum is one of the parts that is a little bit more difficult to get, but you know, easy iron. If you want to harvest it, you just fly around in a spaceship and pick it up. Okay, we've got some Varun cultists. They're pretty dangerous on the scale, and we're going to get shredded by these guys. We've lost our shields already, but this is where the pace comes in. So we can hold that boost. We're up to 700, 712 we got out of that, and they're completely out of range, which means we can separate the pack of these guys. See, this is the kind of weird balance when it comes to the spaceships in this game. We're still dropping speed on the one that I'm currently targeting. Our shields are back. May as well put a repair kit on as I hit more buttons at once. And now we're in range, so we can take a little bit of a shot. If we need to dip, we can. We'll take the Revelation, and then we will GTFO. So that's a Vigil 3 that we're fighting there, and we're getting some distance out 3,000 meters. And that is definitely a quick ship, but we can regenerate our things pretty fast. We just have to use a repair kit. Luckily, we picked up a bunch earlier. That is actually a very fast ship, but we seem to be breaking off now. Just got to get from that safety zone of about 3,600. Yep, there it is. We can wait for our shields to come back, although they'll be a little bit gimped a little bit actually, where we've lost a little bit of shield power. But now we can engage, and should we get close enough, see, we're shredding it. Same thing to me though. And that is why I put so much value and have perked so much into the engine of this thing, because if I didn't have the pace there, I'd have been taken on two at once. And you saw how fast my shields went down in that first fight. Probably didn't have to use all of the repair kits there. I suppose the only drawback is now I've got to travel about 8Ks down the road to pick up this thing. But we're quick, we'll get there eventually, and we'll see what we got. if we happen to pull some spaceship parts from this thing, it'll be a net profit. We get some XP in the process as well, and maybe a few thousand credits if we're nice and lucky. But yeah, these guys, they don't mess around. Nope, not much to speak of here. Okay, this zone has more hostile things. This is more Varun, and we've probably got enough range to start hitting them. Let's see. Okay, this time we've got a little bit more against us, so we'll pick off the weak one that's close. That's easy, that's good. It's good news that we killed that one. There's a big one right there, though. We'll try to turn him around. We'll put as much distance as possible. We've still got 77 in the shield, so as soon as that regenerates, we'll probably just turn back. We'll probably be able to wipe him as soon as we get guns on, but we'll see how we go. In range now, almost ready to start locking on. Well, maybe I'm talking up these guys because we are currently wiping the floor with them. And as a reminder, I'm not lying, we're on the hardest difficulty there is possible at the time of recording. Some couple of resources and misc items, that's pretty helpful, I guess. Alright, last little encounter here, hoping we find Ecliptics. Yes, we do. Okay, the dangerous one here is going to be the Falcata. Do we have any of those around? I don't know. I haven't seen any. And we're getting straight into it here. I thought I'd have to fly around that thing, but he just broke straight through it. Now, we've only got rapiers and whatever the other thing was, but no Falcatas. So, yeah, looking a pretty cruisy day here for Famine. She's done pretty well. There's the payload specialist just having a cough every now and then. She's only got rank 1 in payload. I paid like $3,600 just for a free perk there, and it was worth it, damn it. But I think you get the point. This here is Famine, and I don't know if you're interested in having this ship for yourself, but I might do a... If you like really want to know, really want to fly this around for yourself, I could do a build guide on it. But if you haven't got the perks in the meantime, then you can probably invest in those. But we'll have to see how this video turns out, because, you know, this is the first Starfield video, and I quite like the ship flying around. I've heard that some people really don't like it because it's like basic and no one really, like, it's not that deep in terms of its combat. But if you crank the difficulty up, you got to use your brain a little bit, and I think that's fine. Also, it's the perk says itself. It's like the equivalent of being a car person in real life, right? So, you know, there's some appeal there. And look, I don't get to fly around spaceships in Fallout or Skyrim, so this is kind of new, and it's what Starfield does for me. I guess you've got the you've got No Man's Sky to fly around ships, and you can fly it directly to planets, but I think Starfield does it pretty well in that respect anyway. Like, you don't want to... It cuts out a lot of travel time just by basically teleporting everywhere. But yeah, that's Famine. It's my warship, and she goes alright. Room for improvement, of course, with perks and perhaps different weapons attached onto this thing. I might have to do some research to see if it can get better than this, but as it stands right now, I'm pretty happy with this, with the improvement. There's got a lot of upside, so maybe we'll see this thing again, or maybe I'll try something different, like trying to put like an auto tail gun if I'm being followed by a pesky ship that's faster than I am, or maybe I'll use missile launchers because I've barely used them since owning the Frontier, and who wants to play around with this little piece of shit? Not me, man. I've also got these ones as well. This one I stole off a Crimson Fleet mercenary, and this is a few things that I've just picked up from my travels, including this one, which will sell for a lot if I want to put it out there, so that might be useful. But yeah, this thing, not quite as good as this thing. Better in a few ways, but I think this is way better in terms of its stats, its looks, and its function. So anyways, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. If you are playing Starfield, I hope you are enjoying yourself and not worried too much about the Western politics that have been shoehorned into this game, because you peel all that away, there's a game to be enjoyed here. So I don't want to get too much into it, but I'm not going to have a mental breakdown over pronouns. So that's not kind of me. I'll just roll my eyes and move on. Anyways, on that, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, I bet you're all dying to see Lily's rig. Oh, here goes. You happy now?